The most common mistake I see beginners make when drawing the eyes are 1. Drawing them flat as if they're just stickers that are pasted onto the face, or 2. Drawing wonky, uneven, or lopsided eyes, and they're usually completely different sizes. So today we're going to tackle this subject in just 2 phases, and after we're done, hopefully this will take all of the frustration and confusion out of drawing both eyes accurately and believably. As we know, the eyes sit inside of a shallow opening in the face called the socket. The eyeballs themselves protrude partially from the sockets, as you can see here. Inside and around the eyeball, there are a few more parts that we need to be aware of. Number 1, the pupil, a tiny hole in the center of the eye that lets light in and allows us to see. 2 is the iris. This is the colorful part of the eye that controls the flow of light into the pupil. It does this by expanding or contracting the size of the pupil in response to incoming light. Number 3 is the cornea, a transparent film-like covering that helps to protect the inner structures and focus the flow of light. If your plan is to draw realism, this one you want to remember because it adds an extra layer of contour to the eyeball as a whole. And then finally we have the eyelids, the fleshy folds of skin that cover and protect the exposed parts of the eyeball. Now, the next step is to break each part of this down into simple shapes and build out complexity from there. If we start with the hexagon for the socket, we can plug in the shape of the eyeball to about halfway in. Right in the center of the eyeball, we have the iris and the pupil, and then lastly, we'll add in the eyelids by drawing another hexagonal type shape over the eyeball. Do take note of the way the lids cling to and wrap around the spherical form of the eyeball. This is a huge factor in drawing them believably. And there's our simplified foundation. Now, before we start detailing, there's just one more thing we want to keep an eye on. A lot of beginners fail to notice that, just like a cube, the sphere that makes up the eyeball also has multiple sides or planes, as we call them in art. After all, you can think of the sphere as a rounded cube. With this in mind, we can now apply our knowledge of perspective to the way we draw the eyelid. If we visualize a little horizon line with vanishing points through the center of the eyeball, we can more easily see the other 2 side planes of the sphere. And you don't need to draw this in, you just need to hold it in your mind as a visual reference. So for the last detail, we'll add in the lashes. Now, the things you need to remember at this step are 1. Just make sure to follow the same contours that you established when drawing in the eyelids. And 2, it's always best to render the lashes using thick clumps at varying lengths instead of drawing a bunch of individual messy looking strands. Okay, so there you go. Now we know how to construct an eye. Next, let's look at how to place them accurately to avoid wonky and lopsided drawings. Now, this method is really very easy. I'm not sure why more people don't use it, to be honest, but to each their own. For step 1, we're going to draw a rectangular box. Now, it doesn't have to be perfect, just make sure that it comes out reasonably symmetrical, instead of something like this. Step 2, we're going to subdivide the entire shape into thirds using vertical lines, and then split the shape in half top from bottom with one horizontal line. These quadrants on the left and on the right are where the eyes are going to be positioned. Now finally, go ahead and draw in the foundations of the eyes and use the horizontal line in the center as a landmark for the corners of the eyes. Once you have a somewhat clean and symmetrical sketch, go ahead and do away with the underlying grid and start rendering in all of your details. This method also works when drawing in perspective. So let's say the face is rotated into a 3/4 view. Since we're using a rectangle, we'll rotate it until it becomes a box, split it into thirds and in half, and repeat the same process. And you can do this for literally any angle. Now you no longer have to fear drawing the dreaded other eye. Also, before I forget, when drawing the highlights in the eyes, make sure to keep them consistent with wherever the light source is coming from. So if the light source is coming from the top right, then both highlights should appear on the same side, not mirroring each other, because that just looks weird. But that's going to do it for this week's tutorial. If this video helped you out or you had an aha moment, let me know in the comments, and think about subscribing for more cool tips that actually work. Until next time, keep creating.